It is that time of the year, time for some bold predictions. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, what are you doing? Make sure you go ahead and you subscribe. Stay tuned and keep it locked here. Hit the bell icon to be notified every time I drop a new video because I'm doing so pretty much every day. So you don't want to miss out, and follow me on my social media. With that being said, I do this every year, and obviously I'm not going to stop now. I'm going to bring you guys my 5 bold predictions for the Chicago Bears this upcoming season. Now, keep in mind, these have to be bold. So if they seem a little unrealistic or you're thinking, Faiz, there's no way this happens, well, that means it's bold. Now, it's not going to be, absolutely unrealistic. I'm still going to add a touch of that. But the point here is to be bold, okay? So with that being said, let's get started with my 5 bold predictions for the Bears' upcoming 2020 NFL season. I just want to quickly point out that I'm going to be starting with number 5 and then working my way up to number 1. And I'm going to be going from the least bold prediction to the most bold prediction. So 5 is going to be the least bold, and then it will get bolder and bolder, and hopefully have the boldest prediction that I have for the Chicago Bears at number 1. So with that being said, let's get to number 5. At number 5, my bold prediction is that Mitch Trubisky wins the starting job and starts all 16 games for the Chicago Bears. And I know what you're thinking. Faiz, that's not even bold, because you know what? It's a 50-50 chance between Mitch and Nick Foles on who will win the Bears starting job, right? Well, yes, technically you are right about that. That is true, but here is why it is still bold. If you pay attention to what the national media is saying, and even the local media with the Bears writers, Bears reporters, etc., it seems like a foregone conclusion that Nick Foles is going to win the Bears starting quarterback job. I mean, if you listen to what they're saying, both the local and national media, everybody expects Nick Foles to be the starting quarterback, and that could very well happen. But that is why my prediction is bold, because I believe not only will Nick Foles not win the starting job, it'll be Mitchell Trubisky, but Mitchell Trubisky will start all 16 games. So I threw that little caveat in there because we know Mitch tends to get a little banged up, had the shoulder injury last year, and so I'm expecting him to start all 16 games. And here's my reasoning, okay? Number 1, the schedule actually favors Mitchell Trubisky. We played the Lions early on. We played the Giants early on. These are some easy matchups, and I believe that will, play into Mitchell Trubisky's hands, because we know he's had some of his best games, certainly against the Lions for sure, but, teams like the Giants, they are not imposing teams. And so we've read that Mitchell Trubisky is going to get the first snap in training camp and in practice, etc. They're going to give him every opportunity. And here's the other thing. In terms of the Chicago Bears front office, both long-term certainly and even short-term, it is in their best interest. The best possible scenario for them is Mitchell Trubisky wins the starting job and Nick Foles never sees the field. Why is that? That is because obviously Mitchell Trubisky is younger. That means that him getting picked at number 2, even though, again, it still might not be justified because of Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, at least the Bears can still say they have him as a starting quarterback versus him getting beaten out by Nick Foles, and now you basically move on from him and he's completely a bust and you don't re-sign him because you let him go because, again, he wasn't good. So the best thing for the front office is going to be for Mitch to seize the starting job and to run away with it. And that's why I'm saying I like the way the schedule's setting up. They're going to give him every opportunity, because once you go to Nick Foles, here's the thing, folks. Once you go to Nick Foles, let's say Nick Foles wins the starting job, the Mitchell Trubisky chapter, era, whatever you want to call it, it's done in Chicago. I mean, it's over with, unless Nick Foles gets hurt, by the way, or something crazy like that happens. Mitchell Trubisky's done in Chicago. They're not going to bring him back. And so they're going to say, okay, listen, this is really the last chance for the kid. We brought in Nick Foles to motivate him. Let's give him every opportunity to get the starting job. So that is my bold prediction number 5. Let's move on. Let's move on to bold prediction number 4, and that is the following. The Chicago Bears will finish top 10 in rushing in 2020. And I also put in parentheses, David Montgomery will have 1,000+ rushing yards. And again, that's to be expected here, but because of the fact that I believe the Bears will finish top 10 in rushing. So let me explain here. The Bears in 2018, when they had that phenomenal 12-4 season, everybody thinks or, has that in mind that the Bears had, some sort of a fantastic air attack and, they were slinging the rock and all that. Well, technically, the offense certainly was better than 2019 for sure through the air, but the rushing attack is what was the main reason for the Bears to have the record. They were 11th, I believe, in rushing in terms of, the entire NFL. And then that rushing plummeted. I mean, they plummeted all the way down to bottom third in the NFL last season. And that is a large part of the reason why the Bears suffered last year, because they had no running game. This is where I am giving Matt Nagy the benefit of the doubt. He's a smart coach, won Coach of the Year his first year. I expect him to understand that no matter who is under center, Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky, obviously, per my last prediction, I believe it will be Mitchell Trubisky. He is going to make an emphasis on running the football, which is feeding David Montgomery the rock. And David Montgomery last year, 242 attempts, 889 yards, only 3.7 yards a carry. So on 3.7 yards a carry, dude almost had 1,000 yards. He just ups that to like 4.2, 4.4 yards a carry, which is very doable. Easily over 1,000 yards for David Montgomery. So to me, David Montgomery is going to be a lot better. The Bears will also have, Tariq Cohen, other guys as well. But also, if Mitchell Trubisky starts, then this also plays into my earlier prediction, because the Bears also will finish top 10 in rushing because they will have Mitchell Trubisky rush like he did in 2018. Okay? So, last year, again, they plummeted in rushing. Mitchell Trubisky barely ran the football. This year, if they are finished top 10 in rushing, which I expect them to, it will be because not only David Montgomery, but also their quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, rushing and doing it like he did in 2018. Let's move on to my third bold prediction for the Chicago Bears for the 2020 season. The Bears lead the league in interceptions. So, again, we're getting more and more bold here, folks. And here's the thing. The Bears last year, 25th in the NFL in interceptions. But I believe they're going to make a jump all the way to number one. And they were actually number one in 2018. Now, here's the reason why I believe this. The Bears shored up their defensive line this offseason by getting Robert Quinn, who is going to help a lot alongside Khalil Mack. I will get to that in a later prediction, by the way, just hint here. But because the defensive line is going to be fully healthy, obviously we're going to have Akeem Hicks back, who was missing a lot of last season. And so the Bears defensive line, guys coming off the edge, putting pressure down the middle, it is going to force and make life absolutely unpleasant for opposing quarterbacks, which will obviously cause them to make hopefully bad decisions and throw the ball in the hands of our secondary. And our secondary, speaking of it, it got better. Obviously, we know we have a stud safety in Eddie Jackson, and we have a stud cornerback in Kyle Fuller. Those two guys obviously are fantastic, and I expect them to have fantastic years this season. But in addition, you drafted a cornerback in the second round in Jalen Johnson, who a lot of scouts believe would have been a pick in the first round had he not had the medical and injury history that he did. And so hopefully him being healthy, I believe he's starting alongside Kyle Fuller for the second cornerback spot. And then also we signed Tayshaun Gibson from the Houston Texans, a Pro Bowl safety, and him alongside Eddie Jackson. That is a fantastic duo at safety. And now, again, you've got your entire secondary, which is going to be fantastic. All four of them. So, to me, the pressure is going to be put up front. And even if the Bears don't get sacks, but I do expect them to, that will cause the quarterbacks to throw the football up. And you just got to let these guys make a play. And like I said, they've done it before. I believe they can do it again and lead the league in interception. Moving on to my bold prediction number 2. We're getting bolder here, folks. Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn combined for 25 plus sacks. Now, I might be getting a little too bold with the 25 plus. I should say with the plus, but certainly 25 is the money number here, folks. And remember, obviously, earlier I made the point about, the Bears leading the league in interceptions. Well, to me, that is going to be a result of the Bears generating pressure and getting a bunch of sacks. Because last season, we know a large part of Khalil Mack not having the season that he did previously was because he didn't have anyone on the other side of the line commanding any sort of respect. Leonard Floyd, this is why we cut him. This is why we let him go. He was not getting the job done. And what did that end up happening for the Bears? They had Khalil Mack getting double teamed. I mean, teams were literally game planning to get Khalil Mack out of the game plan for the Chicago Bears. And so last year, Khalil Mack only had 8.5 sacks. Compared to that a year before, he had 12.5. Now we got a new stud pass rusher in Robert Quinn from the Dallas Cowboys, who last year had 11.5 sacks. I mean, this is a guy who's had 19 sacks before in the season, folks. Again, happened a long time ago, but just letting you guys know that it's possible. So combining both of them and what they can do, I mean, I am absolutely expecting a lot of sacks this coming season, and I can totally see 25 sacks. Now, I said 25 plus, but that's literally 12.5 each. So to me, certainly the talent is there. It's just going to be a matter of getting it done. But like I said, folks, I expect the Bears defense, hopefully they stay healthy, knock on wood, to wreak havoc both on the front line and also in the secondary. So Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn combined for 25 plus sacks. And finally, my number one bold prediction for the Bears 2020 NFL season: Cole Kmet beats Jimmy Graham in receiving yards. I could have put touchdowns here, but I just stuck with the receiving yards, and here's why. Okay, Jimmy Graham was the signing that I was not a fan of that the Bears made in the offseason. Okay, I've said this before. Jimmy Graham is washed up. Okay, the two good things about Jimmy Graham, the only two good things about him, he's still relatively durable, doesn't miss games, and he can still catch the ball. Can't do anything after he catches that. I mean, he's just going to go down. He's got no burst, no speed whatsoever, but still has solid hands. But point being is, Jimmy Graham is washed up. And so with Cole Kmet, the Bears draft pick in the second round this year in the NFL draft, he was the universal best tight end in the draft, the consensus best tight end. And so I expect him to be very good. Now, here's the one thing that's difficult with tight ends is they tend to have a steeper learning curve than other positions. You see receivers come out in the first year and just absolutely destroy. You've seen it with quarterbacks. We've seen it with running backs. Tight ends take a little bit of time to learn. And this is why this is my most bold prediction, because there's two things working against Cole Kmet. The fact that he's a tight end and tight ends have a steeper learning curve. And two, playing time is going to be coming at a premium because the Bears paid Jimmy Graham a lot of money and they're not going to pay him a lot of money to just sit around. He is going to obviously play a lot of snaps. Now, here is why I still believe Cole Kmet will lead the Bears tight ends in receiving yardage. One, he's just more talented. Right now, he's more talented than Jimmy Graham is. And number two, even if he's playing less snaps, which will probably be the case, he will be able to make more of an impact by yards after catch, being able to make something out of nothing, unlike Jimmy Graham. And I do believe the Bears, even though they paid Jimmy Graham a lot of money, they also invested a lot of draft capital in Cole Kmet. He's a second-round pick, okay? And so they are going to utilize him. And Matt Nagy knows this season, his play calling is going to be looked at with a microscope. So you better make sure you are calling the right plays. And part of that is also going to be tight end sets, 2 tight end sets, because both quarterbacks, Mitch and Nick Foles, work well with tight ends. You need to give your quarterback a security blanket. The two things you got to give a struggling quarterback is a good running game and a security blanket tight end in the middle of the field. Okay, because here's the thing. If your quarterback's good, he's going to get the receivers deep. With the deep balls, he's going to, find holes where there aren't. But the quarterbacks that are struggling, the quarterbacks that you kind of need to help pull along with the play calling, give them a good running game, That's why I said the Bears would lead the league in rushing, or top 10, excuse me, and give him a nice safety blanket in the middle of the field so he can make the easy reads. And that is why I believe Cole Kmet will still be able to beat Jimmy Graham and lead the Bears, in receiving yards, because Matt Nagy will find a way to utilize him, most notably in 2 tight end sets, and they will try to get him as much playing time, and he is going to make more of his opportunities than Jimmy Graham will. And hopefully the rapport will be there with whoever the quarterback ends up being. Again, I'm picking Mitchell Trubisky. The media, the consensus is Nick Foles. But there you have it, folks. My 5 bold predictions for the Bears going into the 2020 NFL season. I had thought about saying, Anthony Miller gets 1,000 yards, but folks, I mean, I've done that before. I'm tired of it at this point. He should have already gotten 1,000 yards last season. He was inconsistent. But point being is, those are my 5. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me or disagree with me on those 5 bold predictions. Let's hear it out. I'm down to debate with you guys, and give me your bold predictions for Chicago Bears. Leave it down below in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching.